Quick question. Would you rather practice guitar for 15 minutes every single day or binge practice for 2 hours once a week? Most people pick the 2 hours, and most people quit within a month. Here's why that's backwards. I'm Liam, and this is Real English Today from Craft Your English. Today, we're talking about why showing up consistently will beat natural talent almost every time, in language learning, in your career, in basically anything that matters. And by the end of this, you'll understand why small daily actions create results that feel like magic, but aren't. So, my first guitar teacher told me something I thought was ridiculous. He said, "Liam, 10 minutes every day beats 2 hours on Saturday." I was 16. I thought I knew better. I'd cram practice sessions on weekends, skip the rest of the week. And I watched other students, less naturally talented than me, get better, way better. They'd show up for their 15-minute practice slots, Monday through Friday. Nothing dramatic, just present. It took me embarrassingly long to realize they were building something I wasn't. They were building consistency. And consistency? It's the compound interest of skill. Here's what I mean by compound interest of skill. If you improve by just 1% every day, one tiny percent, you're not 365% better at the end of a year. You're 37 times better. That's not motivation speaker nonsense. That's actual math. But here's the catch. You won't feel it happening. Day 12 doesn't feel different from day 11. Week 3 looks basically the same as week 2. That's where most people quit. They think, this isn't working. But your brain? Your brain is absolutely working. It's building neural pathways. It's strengthening connections every single time you practice. Neuroplasticity, that's the science term, doesn't happen in one epic study session. It happens through repetition, through showing up when you'd rather scroll Instagram. Trust me, your brain doesn't care if you're motivated. It cares if you're consistent. Okay, real talk. I've taught music for almost a decade now, and the students who were the most naturally talented at the beginning, they weren't always the best players 5 years later. You know who was? The ones who showed up every single week. There was this one student, let's call him Mark. First lesson, struggled to hold the guitar correctly. Fingers kept slipping off the strings. But Mark practiced 15 minutes every morning before work. Not 2 hours, not some insane routine, 15 minutes. 2 years later, Mark was performing at open mic nights, playing songs I couldn't play at his stage. Meanwhile, the prodigy from his class quit after 6 months because progress got hard. Here's what I learned. Talent gets you started. Discipline gets you somewhere. And discipline isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about making a deal with yourself and keeping it, even on the boring days, especially on the boring days. So let's talk about the daily practice mindset, because I think people misunderstand what work hard consistently actually means. It doesn't mean grinding 12-hour days. It doesn't mean burning yourself out. It means showing up for 20 minutes when you only feel like giving 10. It means doing the work even when it feels pointless. Think of it like watering a plant. A little bit every day, the plant grows. Drowning it once a month, it dies. Your skills are the same way. Your English is the same way. I had a language learning phase where I tried the binge method. Study Spanish for 5 hours on Sunday, ignore it all week. My retention was terrible. My brain dumped everything by Wednesday. Then I switched. 10 minutes of Spanish every morning with my coffee. Just 10. Reading one article. Listening to one song, reviewing 5 flashcards. 6 months later, I could hold actual conversations. Not because I'm talented at languages, I'm really not, but because I built momentum. And momentum makes consistency easier. It's like pushing a boulder. Hardest at the start, smoother once it's rolling. Here's the hardest part about consistency. The results don't show up on your timeline. They show up on reality's timeline. You practice every day for 3 weeks, you might not notice improvement. Then week 4 hits, and suddenly your fingers know where to go without thinking. Your mouth forms the English sounds automatically. That's delayed gratification. That's your brain finally catching up to your effort. The work you do today, it might not pay off for months, maybe years, but it's building something. Every single day you show up, you're making a long-term investment in yourself. And here's the beautiful part. In 10 years, you won't remember the individual Tuesday you practiced, but you'll be living inside the results of all those Tuesdays combined. That's the compound effect. That's why consistency beats talent.
All right, let's talk about some of the key language we use today, because there's some really useful vocabulary here for talking about success and personal growth. First, consistency. That's the noun, consistency. Notice the stress is on that second syllable, sis. His consistency in practice led to success. You can also use the adjective consistent. She's a consistent learner. Next, compound. Now this one's interesting because the pronunciation changes depending on how you use it. As a verb, when you're talking about things increasing, it's compound. Stress on the second syllable. Small improvements compound over time. But as a noun, like compound interest, it's compound. Stress on the first syllable. Really useful word for talking about gradual growth. Discipline. Dis-si-plin. Stress on that first syllable, dis. This is huge. It's not about being strict or harsh. It's about controlled, focused behavior. Success requires discipline, not just motivation. You'll hear this word a lot in professional contexts. Momentum. We use this when something has built up force and keeps going. Once you build momentum, it's easier to keep going. Think of a ball rolling down a hill. And while we're here, let me mention persistence, which is related. Persistence. Stress on the second syllable. It means continuing despite difficulties. Her persistence paid off after years of effort. Now, a couple of expressions natives use all the time. Trust the process. Have faith in gradual improvement, even when you can't see results yet. Put in the work. Dedicate consistent effort. If you want to improve, you have to put in the work. It pays off in the long run. The rewards come later, not immediately. Consistency pays off in the long run. How would you talk about this? Try using one of these words or phrases to describe your own English learning journey. That's how vocabulary sticks, when you use it about your own life.
So here's my question for you, and I really want you to answer this in the comments. What's one small action you could do every day that would transform your English in a year? And I mean small, not study for 3 hours. I mean something so small it feels almost too easy. 5 minutes of reading? Listening to one English song with lyrics? That's the sweet spot for daily consistency. Write it down, make the commitment, and then, this is the important part, show up tomorrow and the day after. Not because you feel motivated, because you made a deal with yourself. If you got value from this, hit subscribe. We drop new Real English Today episodes every Wednesday with different hosts exploring modern life, culture, and the language around it. And remember, you don't need to be the most talented person, you just need to be the most consistent one. Keep crafting. See you next time.